You probably reached for deodorant today without thinking about it. A quick swipe, a familiar scent, a problem solved in seconds. But the real answer is far stranger. Because for almost all of human history, your ancestors lived without deodorant, perfume, soap, or even the idea that smelling like a flower was something a person should aspire to. And somehow they still managed to live side by side, hunt together, raise families, and build communities in a world where nobody had ever heard of body spray. So what did ancient humans actually smell like? And why might the answer say as much about your body as it does about theirs? Your skin is alive. Not because your skin cells are thinking or feeling, but because every square centimeter of your body is home to millions of microscopic organisms. Bacteria. Tiny living creatures so small that thousands could fit across the width of a single grain of salt. Right now, they are covering your hands, your arms, your face, and every other part of your body. Does that sound unsettling? It shouldn't. Most of them are not your enemies. Many spend their entire lives protecting you by competing against harmful microbes that would otherwise take their place. Your body is less like a polished machine and more like a crowded ecosystem, where countless tiny organisms quietly keep one another in balance. And that balance has everything to do with body odor. The first thing to understand is that sweat does not smell. That surprises most people. Your body produces different kinds of sweat. The watery kind, released when you exercise or get hot, is mostly water mixed with small amounts of salt and minerals. Fresh sweat has almost no scent at all. The smell arrives later when bacteria begin breaking down the proteins and fatty compounds left behind on your skin. The odor is not coming from your sweat. It is coming from the waste products produced by those bacteria as they feed. So if ancient humans sweated just as much as you do, why weren't they overwhelmed by body odor? Part of the answer begins with their environment. Imagine spending nearly every waking hour outdoors. Wind passes over your skin. Sunlight dries moisture before it can linger. Clothing is loose, minimal, and often changed as animal hides wear out or plant fibers break down. Sweat evaporates instead of remaining trapped beneath layers of synthetic fabric. The places where odor-producing bacteria thrive are warm, damp, and enclosed. Modern clothing often creates exactly those conditions. Ancient life frequently did the opposite. That doesn't mean nobody smelled. Of course they did. After a long hunt beneath the summer sun or a day gathering food across rough landscapes, your ancestors would have carried the scent of sweat, smoke, earth, and the plants surrounding them. But those smells are not necessarily the same as the sharp body odor most people associate with skipping a shower today. Could your nose even notice the difference? Probably not as much as you think. Human smell is remarkably adaptable. When you remain around the same scent for long enough, your brain gradually stops paying attention. This process is called sensory adaptation, which simply means your brain filters out familiar information so it can focus on anything new or potentially dangerous. It is the same reason you stop noticing the smell of your own home after a few minutes inside. Ancient communities lived together every day. The scents of the people around them became part of the background of daily life. What mattered far more were unusual smells. The scent of smoke carried by the wind. The odor of a predator nearby. The unmistakable smell of decay warning that something had died close to camp. Those smells demanded attention. Your own group rarely did. Archaeologists cannot smell the past. They cannot dig up a campsite from 50,000 years ago and detect the scent that once drifted through it. Instead, they reconstruct daily life using evidence left behind in bones, tools, plant remains, and even microscopic traces preserved in ancient soil. That evidence tells an interesting story. Early humans regularly lived near rivers, lakes, and streams. Water was essential for drinking, cooking, and survival. It also offered something else, an easy way to wash away dirt, dried sweat, and mud collected during the day. Contrary to popular imagination, ancient humans were not afraid of bathing. Quite the opposite. Many hunter-gatherer societies recorded by anthropologists in more recent centuries wash frequently whenever water is available. Bathing cools the body, removes insects, and feels refreshing after long hours outdoors. It requires no soap to be worthwhile. Soap itself is a surprisingly recent invention. Before people learned to combine fats with alkaline substances to produce true soap, they relied on simpler methods. Sand gently scraped away dirt. Certain clays absorbed excess oils from the skin. Ash mixed with water created a mildly alkaline mixture capable of cutting through grease. None worked exactly like modern soap, yet each removed enough dirt to keep the body reasonably clean. The goal was different. Today, many people aim to eliminate every trace of odor. Ancient humans simply needed to stay healthy. That distinction matters. Modern hygiene often focuses on social expectations. Ancient hygiene focused on practical survival. Would insects be less likely to bite? Would wounds remain cleaner? Would parasites become easier to spot? Those questions mattered far more than smelling pleasant during a meeting. Plants played an unexpected role as well. Across many ancient cultures, people gathered fragrant leaves, crushed herbs, and aromatic branches. Mint, sage, juniper, wild thyme, lavender in regions where it grew naturally. These plants released oils into the air, producing strong scents that insects frequently avoided. The pleasant smell was almost a side effect. Recent scientific studies have shown that many aromatic plants also contain natural antimicrobial compounds. In simple terms, certain chemicals inside the plants can slow the growth of some bacteria and fungi. Ancient people did not know the chemistry involved. They only noticed that certain plants seemed useful. Observation came first. Science explained it thousands of years later. Hair created another challenge. Unlike much of your body, hair traps moisture and holds onto odors more easily. Sweat can collect near the scalp, while smoke from cooking fires clings stubbornly to every strand. Yet, archaeological discoveries reveal combs made from bone, antler, and wood stretching back thousands of years. A comb does more than untangle hair. It removes dirt, loose skin, small insects, plant fragments, tiny parasites that might otherwise multiply unnoticed. Something as simple as regularly combing through hair dramatically changes how clean it feels and functions. Even more fascinating is how often someone else held the comb. Anthropologists studying traditional societies have long documented social grooming. Friends, parents, children, and partners carefully picking through one another's hair, removing insects, cleaning debris, checking for wounds, spending long stretches of quiet time together. It was hygiene. It was healthcare. It was affection. Could something so ordinary help hold an entire community together? Many researchers believe exactly that. Physical grooming strengthens trust. It encourages cooperation. Long before complicated language evolved, spending time caring for another person's body may have reinforced social bonds that helped small groups survive difficult environments. Cleanliness and connection were not separate ideas. They were often the same thing. Diet influenced body odor too. Modern research has shown that certain foods can change the chemicals released through sweat. Garlic, onions, alcohol, and heavily processed diets all influence body scent in different ways. Ancient diets varied enormously depending on geography, but they shared one important characteristic. They contained very little processed food. No refined sugar, no artificial flavorings, no industrial preservatives. Every meal came directly from the surrounding landscape. Meat, fish, roots, berries, nuts, seeds, leaves, and seasonal fruits formed the foundation of countless diets across thousands of generations. The exact menu changed. The principle did not. Natural foods produce different metabolic patterns inside the body, which simply means the body processed nutrients differently than it often does today. Scientists are still investigating exactly how those differences influenced body odor, but diet almost certainly played a role. Then there is something most people never consider. Your expectations have changed. Walk into an elevator today beside someone who smells strongly of sweat and you immediately notice. That reaction feels natural, yet much of it is cultural. Different societies throughout history have held completely different ideas about what counts as pleasant, unpleasant, or perfectly ordinary. Perfume itself became popular partly because crowded cities trapped smells that rarely existed in small mobile communities. Thousands of people, livestock, waste, smoke, and stagnant water combined to create environments unlike anything experienced by prehistoric hunter-gatherers. The smell changed because the world changed. Cities introduced new problems. Population density transformed hygiene from an individual habit into a public necessity. Suddenly, disease spread more easily. Waste accumulated faster. Water became contaminated. Soap, sanitation systems, and eventually deodorants addressed challenges created by urban living rather than by human biology alone. That history is easy to forget. You inherit the solutions without always remembering the problems they solved. Even today, your body continues doing what it evolved to do. It sweats, it grows bacteria, it constantly negotiates a delicate balance between your cells and millions of microscopic companions sharing your skin. Every shower, every bar of soap, every bottle of deodorant nudges that balance in one direction or another. None of those products are mistakes. They make modern life healthier, more comfortable, and often safer. But they also reflect a world your ancestors never experienced. Their bodies adapted to forests instead of office buildings, to rivers instead of plumbing, to open air instead of climate-controlled rooms, to communities small enough that familiar scents blended into everyday life rather than standing apart from it. That does not mean ancient humans were cleaner. It does not mean they were dirtier either. They were simply living inside a different relationship with their own biology. Perhaps that is the strangest part of all. The smell of a human body is not just a biological fact. It is also the story of climate, clothing, diet, bacteria, culture, movement, and the environments people create around themselves. Change any one of those pieces, and the scent changes too. Your ancestors did not defeat body odor. They lived alongside it. They understood their surroundings well enough that the problem rarely looked the way it does today. So the next time you reach for deodorant without thinking about it, remember that you are using a remarkable modern invention. But the real answer was always far stranger. Because for almost all of human history, your ancestors solved the same problem not by trying to smell like something else, but by living in a world where the human body simply belonged.